Back with more Buffy. This is episode 9 of season 6. Very, very excited to dive back into this season, see what's going to happen next. So we've had a bit of a Angel binge for the past few. So it's nice to revisit and get back into the season, see where the story's going to go next. And yeah, last episode was really, really good. We had another spell going wrong by Willow, what a surprise. Everyone lost their memory, hilarity, heartbreak. Giles has gone back to England, which sucks. Tara and Willow broke up, which also sucks. Buffy and Spike still have a bit of a thing. And yeah, I'm very, very intrigued as to where all these different elements are going to go with the rest of the season going forward. I'm very, very excited. Because anything can happen. I really don't know what elements and what stories they could focus on next, what ones they're going to kind of explore a bit more. I'd definitely like to see more of the Buffy and Spike thing. I'd definitely like to see them explore who are Willow and Tara apart. So, you know, ever since Tara was introduced, she's very much been linked to Willow. Even before they officially got together. So, you know, who's Tara on her own? I'd like to see a bit of focus on that. And yeah, I'm very, very intrigued to where all these different stories could go. So, without further ado, let's get into the next one. Oh, see. Yeah. Yeah, that was a person.
What the hell are you doing?
It's only a matter of time before you realize I'm the only one here for you, Pet. You got no one else.
Well, that's nice. Potentially true.
You need to get you a nice companion rat that you can love, play with, and grow attached to until one day they leave you for no good reason. Won't that be fun?
No good reason.
Relax, Amy. Reveal it.
Uh-oh. Don't blow up the rat.
Ghost.
Shit. Okay. What the? Oh. Why is he dressed like a Smurf?
Bye.
Oh.
Dude, that is so cool.
Browns coming up. I was so hoping Larry would ask me. We would make such a splash.
Oh man.
Oh, high school's kind of over.
You have no qualifications, your life is over.
You know how we all make choices? And sometimes they're good, and sometimes they're
Spike.
less good. How have you been? Rat. You? Dead.
Yeah.
It's nice having another magically inclined friend around.
But that's more
So, what were you going to tell me?
temptation.
You're sounding all serious. Oh. It's nothing. I mean, the whole... Sorry about your mom. Thanks.
Oh.
When I kissed you, you know I was thinking about Giles, right?
You know, I always wondered about you, too.
Oh, I was depressed. Ergo, vulnerability and bad kissing decisions.
Yep.
Yeah, but that's all that it was. You have to let it go.
This isn't real, but I just want to feel.
You're a thing.
Stop walking away.
Don't touch me!
Ooh. Now. Oh, it didn't hurt him. Yeah. And he always loved her because she treated him like a man. He's a thing. You.
What the hell is going on?
Is it because Buffy died? I don't know.
I mean, I know. You know that I will always be there for you, right? There's actually more I believe in when I practice at home.
Oh.
I know. Do you think you'll ever get back together? I wish I knew.
Hell yeah.
But you still love her.
Hell yeah.
It's just... Sometimes other things get in the way.
Hell yeah.
It's a little old-fashioned, state-of-the-art hacker action.
Yay.
I haven't seen you do that in a long time.
Oh.
I don't remember that part. It's quicker. It'll just take me a sec to go through the files.
Oh man, Willow.
You're all la 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 with the magic and the not talking like everything's normal when we all know that Tara up and left you and now everyone's scared to say anything to you. Except me. Is this that thing I do that you were commenting?
Nice.
Now it's time for phase 2. Is the band fired up? Check.
Oh, shit.
Examine my chip, or else Mr. Fett here is the first to die.
Hey, alright, let's not.
Oh, it's okay, it's okay. It'll be fine.
I wish there was a way that I could make him forget about the last 3 years.
Oh, well, hey, I can help you with that.
No.
Only,
Maybe you'd rather sit home all night, alone, like in high school.
no.
Alright, Amy.
No, you know what?
You're English, right?
Yeah.
I've seen every episode of Doctor Who. Not Red Dwarf, though, because it's not out yet on DVD. Right. It's not out yet on DVD.
I knew that guy was my favourite for a reason.
Nothing wrong with me. Something wrong with her.
I think there's a lot of things wrong with you.
You can stay and wait for them. Then you can get a chance to catch up with everyone.
Yeah, I don't think that's such a great idea.
You notice how it's been getting dark so much earlier these days? Huh. Talking cat.
Fine. I'll stay, but just until they get back. And only to make sure that you're not alone. This 1,000-year-old capitalist ex-demon with rabbit phobia.
Willow, that is a look. Oh no. It's flaunting it.
You go. I'll keep an eye on our drinks.
Okay. You know, because if you want something a little more your style, I'm sure we can swing that.
Oh.
Really? No.
I'll hang out with you.
No use looking at me like that. It's the gullet for you, mister.
You can't just work us up like that and then just...
Hey, I think she said no.
Well, nobody asked you, Ellen.
Kill him.
You want to dance?
That's all. Nice, slow, relaxing dance.
No, no. They're gonna make him dance. Oh my.
Cheers.
That's a slippery slope.
There's no such thing as a frost monster who eats diamonds.
Well, maybe he doesn't eat them. You know, maybe he just thinks they're pretty.
Or maybe they're a bunch of nerds.
We need new brain. Tara thinks Willow is doing too much magic. And she's not the only one.
I know. Well, I think she'll be fine. You know, it's Willow. She is a level head.
Well, those are the ones you have to watch out for.
They thought you were in hell.
Responsible type.
But we can't assume that everybody's getting seduced. You know, sometimes...
Yeah. I do like the parallels with her and Willow. Kind of being tempted.
Hello, Magic Box.
Slayer.
Spike?
You, me, goes in the tomb with a view.
Oh boy.
The bank robbery, the jewelry heist.
Exploding lint.
Is it me, or do these things seem really lame? Well, I was gonna go with unusual, but yeah.
Stereotypical bad guy
I'll
things.
do a quick patrol tonight, and after a good night,
Nerds!
we can solve this. Get out of my way.
For what?
Even before your chip, she could beat you up, you know? Jesus.
You came back wrong.
What a thing to say to her when she was confiding in you. Oh! Okay. There wasn't a window. Oh. Is no one going to notice that? Or... Stop it! Why are there sheep here? Of all the things you could do, sheep. Oh, it's that smile, but she's doing bad things. Oh! That's a Buffy move.
Can't be a human, can't be a vampire. Where the hell do you fit in?
Oh! Whoa! It's weird seeing him fight like that again. No.
We're trying.
It's better than not doing it, I guess. Uh-oh.
I'm afraid I'm gonna...
Oh! Okay. Oh! 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 Oh dear! Oh my, no! Well. Whew! Guys! Oh! You're not still going, are you? You fell through the fucking floor! Talk about performance bringing the fucking house down. Okay, really good episode, I really like that one. I feel like I have so much to talk about though. I feel like it got so deep and there's a lot to process there, and I don't know how I feel about a lot of it. I feel very conflicted. Particularly the Spike and Buffy stuff. I don't know. Cause I really like the idea of those two together. But I like the idealised version, like him comforting her at the end of Fall for Love. But those are rare instances from Spike. And yeah, it's... I'll have to see where they go with it. I'm very intrigued by it because I do think it makes a lot of sense, and it's unfortunately very in keeping, I think, with Spike to be that way with Buffy, if he realises that he can hit her. And it's very in character right now for Buffy to kind of be drawn to Spike, because we've seen that basically this whole entire season. He's the one she could open up to, really, about what she went through. And obviously all those times that they've kissed as well. And she's very aware of why she keeps turning to him for that. You know, she said she was upset about Giles, so she made some poor decisions. And that escalates somewhat in this one, so we'll see the aftermath of that, because holy shit. I mean, damn, that whole final little sequence with those two fighting in the house was... I actually found it very uncomfortable to watch them just beat each other to pulps and then bang through the floor. Damn. That is quite something. But I think it is kind of a reflection of what their relationship is, which is very destructive. The fact that they literally destroyed a house. So yeah, that's some foreplay right there. That's unique. It's a unique method. I'll give them that. Yeah, I just... oh, I don't even know where to begin with delving into that. I'm very, very intrigued as to where they're going to go and continue with that relationship, because it's so unhealthy and very toxic at the minute. But I'm very conflicted because I like them together, and I'm like, how can I like them together when we get scenes like that with them? It's very strange. It's a very odd feeling. I mean, no way in fucking hell is that going to work out. No way in shit. But I still enjoy aspects of it. So it's very conflicting. I don't think I've ever loved and hated a couple at the same time quite this much before. I'm either very much like, oh, I want them to be together, or I don't want them to be together. So that, oh, I would want Buffy to want to be with Spike, more on her own terms and kind of from this desperation and kind of having nowhere else to turn right now. You know, if this was like a pre-season 5 Buffy, maybe I would like to see that Buffy be with Spike, because obviously right now it's nowhere near coming from a place of like actual feelings, I don't think. I think it's more just attraction and lust than anything else. And yeah, it's just very, very bizarre, but very kind of, it's a very complicated and complex issue, I think, to deal with. And that's to be said about a lot of storylines in this episode, because a lot of it was kind of, there was a lot of destructive relationships in this one and emotional manipulation, very different aspects of it in different cases. But we have the relationship with Buffy and Spike, which is very destructive, kind of toxic a bit. Willow and Amy's kind of friendship that we're forming. Willow's relationship with Magic is very toxic and destructive. And yeah, I did like that kind of running theme and the way they were paralleling Buffy and Willow's various addictions and them trying to kind of shun them off and be like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Because we had many instances in this episode where Buffy was kind of saying, you know, oh yeah, Willow has this problem, but I'm dealing with mine. You know, Willow maybe needs some help, but she's going to deal with it because I think she sees a lot of similarity in what she's going through to what Willow's going through, and if she just believes that Willow's going to be fine and get better, she will as well. I think that's how Buffy kind of sees this. Probably not going to be the case. So we'll see what happens with that, and I think that's why Buffy tried to open up to Willow of all people near the start, obviously because they're best friends, but I think Willow would probably sort of maybe understand more than anyone else. I mean, could you imagine her trying to tell Xander about her and Spike? Like, his reaction would be like, what the fuck are you doing? And it probably should be that reaction, to be fair, but, well, what the fuck are you doing, Spike? But you know what I mean. But then she got like interrupted by Amy or something, didn't she, when she was trying to tell her, which is so frustrating. I hate it when that happens. Like, just talk about things. Like, sure, I've thought the whole her and Spike issue was a lot bigger than Amy being brought back. But then obviously the thing with Amy did escalate, so I would have told Willow about it, but it's a TV show, so of course I'm not going to do that. People can't talk about their problems unless it's like a finale, or like the end of an arc at some point, so we'll see what happens with that. But I thought that was very interesting, and Buffy was kind of talking about all these bad decisions she was making. We're seeing Willow make similarly bad decisions, well, not similarly, you know what I mean, making bad decisions on a similar kind of path, because there's Spike and then there's Magic, which are two very different things. But I did enjoy these parallels and the destructiveness that Buffy and Spike's relationship is, and the idea that he can hit Buffy now, since I guess she got brought back wrong. That was harsh of him to say, but at the end of the day, he's an evil vampire without a soul. He's going to be a dick, and he's going to say harsh things to her, while also being in love with her, and sometimes he can be so sweet with her, and that's why I'm so conflicted over the whole thing. I like it, but I also don't like it. It's very bizarre, so I think I'm going to have to see a bit more of it and see where they're going with this. But I'm very, very intrigued by it. It's very complicated, and I just really like... You could write a fucking book on this, I think, and that's why I love it, because I like really getting into depth about character stuff and things like that, and just because characters can do like these god-awful, horrendous, like morally grey things, and you're like, oh my god, I can't believe they've done that, no, that's so destructive and toxic and stuff like that, doesn't mean I don't like them, because I really like Spike as a character. I know he's not a good person, really. He's not even a person, according to Buffy. I did like that, and how that probably really hurt Spike, because, you know, what he said to her in The Gift, you treat me like a man, and she called him a thing a lot in this one. Yeah, that conversation reminded me a lot of Fall for Love, when she was kind of saying, you're beneath me. Now he really probably is. Yeah. So I'm intrigued to see where that's all going to go, but it is kind of like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. My favourite character ever is in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm sure I've mentioned it many times. And some of the stuff that character's done, they've done some horrendous things over the course of different seasons, but they have their own reasons for it, and some of it was kind of mental illness and just being fucked about and stuff like that. But they're still like my favourite fictional character of all time, so that's kind of how I'm feeling right now. You know, I don't think this is the best of Spike, or the best of Buffy, but Buffy I think can be more forgiven, but also Spike doesn't have a soul, so it's very complicated and I need to see a bit more of it, but I'm very intrigued as to see where that's going to go, the fact they've just beaten each other up and then the other thing. So I'm very, very intrigued by that connection and seeing where they're going to go with it and explore it, but it is very destructive, but I don't think the show's romanticising it. I think that's why I'm okay with seeing where it goes. I don't think they're saying, oh look, they're, you know, look how perfect these two are for each other. You know, they're not saying, this is what love looks like, children. This is the message to take home. This is what true love is. You know, these two absolutely should be together. You know, they're a match made in heaven. They're not romanticising it. I think that's why I'm okay with it. It's when TV shows romanticise really toxic relationships and you're just like, come on. But they're not doing that, and I really respect them for not doing that, because I know there are quite a few people, myself somewhat included, who like Buffy and Spike together. But I have to see where this goes. So very complicated, but I'm liking that they're exploring this kind of thing, and it's very kind of a brave thing to explore, I guess. So we'll see what happens with that. I did like how that was paralleling stuff with Willow, and her making a lot of mistakes too. And yeah, the emotional manipulation side I was talking about earlier, which is a big thing in this episode. We have Spike kind of telling Buffy she came back wrong. And I think he was kind of really pressing into that insecurity to try and get a reaction from her, which is obviously not a good thing to do and not a nice thing to do. And I think that really helped escalate that little final thing with them. And then we had a few little lines from Amy when she was trying to convince Willow to go out, you know, unless you just want to sit around and read or whatever like you did in high school, to kind of convince Willow to leave and go out with her. So again, more like emotional manipulation, emotional blackmail. And this is leagues away from as bad as those examples are, but even Dawn getting Tara to stay, and I'm not holding it against her because she's like, what, 15? And she just wants Tara to stay. She's like, oh, you know, it's getting dark a lot earlier these days. Oh, I'm going to get killed. Even to that extent, it was kind of showing in what was actually probably the most wholesome relationship in this episode, outside of probably Xander and Anya, who weren't really around a lot, but that's okay. They still had a few nice little moments. But it's just like, that's just what I picked up on when I kind of was thinking about what the theme of the episode was. But that's just Dawn being a 15-year-old girl, you know, it's not like, oh god, she's pure evil. And yeah, let's talk about Tara and Dawn quickly, I guess, because they didn't have a huge amount to do, but it was nice seeing Tara share a scene with not just like Willow. It was nice to kind of see her be her own person. She was very, very wholesome with Dawn. I do really like those two together. And yeah, to kind of get a hint of how Tara's kind of doing and how she's feeling about the situation. I love the fact that Dawn, at the end of the last episode I was scared Dawn was going to just be angry at Tara for leaving Willow. But I guess it's kind of like her parents breaking up all over again. But I'm glad that isn't really the case, and she, you know, she just has this belief, like I do, that Willow and Tara are going to patch things up eventually. Don't know when, because it seems Willow's going to spiral now with Amy around as a bad influence. So we'll see what happens with that, but I did really enjoy the Tara and Dawn stuff. However brief it was very, very wholesome. And it was kind of really nice to see Tara be like more of her own person and be a very mature adult figure for Dawn, especially because Buffy's not really been around for Dawn a lot this season. And again, I can't hold that against her per se, because she's going through a lot of shit. And she was kind of putting a lot of that pressure onto Giles, and that's kind of why he had to leave. God, I miss Giles. So it was nice to kind of, I think Tara's probably the most responsible of the group right now. I know Xander, well, I wouldn't say Xander's like the most responsible ever. But yeah, I think Tara is kind of the responsible member right now. You know, if I was going to go to anyone for advice right now, I think Tara would be number one on my list by quite a long way. So it was kind of nice to see, well, we have all these people like really regressing, I think. Not in a bad way, but an interesting human flaw way. It's nice that we still have Tara, who's very much kind of standing firm, knows what she's kind of doing, and seems to have a lot more control of her life, which I really do like to see and appreciate. So I really like the Tara and Dawn scenes. And then we had Amy coming back. When in Something Blue they did the thing where she got turned back to human for like a second. I guess she maybe doesn't remember that. I thought then, oh, that's going to be set up for later on in the season. She'll come back and properly. But then it was literally just like a 2-second cameo in season 4. I thought it was going to be a thing later on in season 4, but then it never happened. And I was like, it would be like kind of awful if she just stays as a rat for the rest of the show. Like the show ends, she still does a rat. But yeah, I wasn't expecting her to just get turned back like that. But I guess Willow's magic's definitely growing. Ever since I think she brought Buffy back, she's like, well, I really can do anything. And I think that's how things really, really got worse for her. She started leaning more towards some darker spells. She found it quite easy to bring Amy back. It's kind of interesting to see her deal with the aftermath of that, and the fact that she didn't really know how long she was a rat for. Turns out she's still kind of a bit of a rat, because she's emotionally manipulating Willow, but Willow was also already down that dark path, and Amy's just not going to help that, because she's also into the magic business. So I'm scared where that's going to go, but I think in terms of the Buffy and Spike thing, and the Willow and Amy thing, I think it's going to get worse before it gets better, because it's a TV show, and also that's kind of the natural order of things. If it even gets better, this could be, I don't know, it could be catastrophic and very destructive, like the episode was kind of pointing towards. And then like doing all the magic on the people in the club, it's just very manipulative, but also Willow looked so good in that scene. But yeah, that's, again, I think that's another toxic relationship, I think, in Willow's life with Amy now. Her and Amy and her and magic are very toxic. And we're seeing her go down a path she really shouldn't be going down. And the frustrating thing is, Xander and Buffy and Anya are talking about it with Willow. They know that she has that problem, but they just sit back and let her hang out with Amy, which is kind of interesting. So hopefully they can like stage an intervention or something at some point, or something horrible is going to happen. So we'll see where that goes, but I am intrigued by that story and to see Willow kind of go down this path. As sad as it is and heartbreaking as it is for her and Tara, and for me to watch her go through this again and go to such a horrible, dark place, it is a very interesting story, and a very interesting layer to her character that I think... I was thinking about this, well, I think about Willow all the time, that's probably not a surprise. I was thinking about this a couple of days ago. I was just thinking about Willow because why not? That's how I spend my free time. She's always kind of wanted to stick to the status quo on things. She's always wanted that control on her life. That's why she kind of did those spells on Tara, to kind of controlled her a bit. But she doesn't see that as wrong. She just thinks, oh, Tara will be happy if I make her forget this. And she's always wanted that kind of... She doesn't want things to change too terribly. You know, her big fear in Fear itself was Oz leaving her. She was like saying, Oz, don't leave me. And then last episode she's like, to Tara, are you going to leave me? And when the whole thing in Lover's Walk happened with her and Xander, the first thing she wanted to do was make things right with Oz straight away, even though he needed that space. She was like, I need to just get things back to normal. She's kind of pushing for that. She wanted to control that so desperately. She wanted to control her sadness after the World at Heart. And she cast a spell in Something Blue, and she was going to cast that spell on Verika and Oz in the immediate aftermath to kind of try and control her feelings and make herself feel better. When Giles was going to leave for England, she was like, oh no, you can't go. And when he did go, you know, oh, we're going to bring Buffy back, and then he'll come back, it'll be fine. Things won't change. She really doesn't. She wants to hold on to things. She doesn't want that to be that change, and the way she can stop that from happening is relying on magic for everything. And I think that the big moment for me in seeing how much she's changed was when she got a computer out in this one. I was like, oh yes, we're going to see computer hacker Willow back from the early seasons, and then she used magic on it. I think that's the real kind of sign, like, yeah, this really is an issue. This is really affecting her life. But yeah, she's always wanted the status quo, and she's always wanted to hang on so nothing changes. She's always wants these constants in her life. You know, she couldn't cope with Buffy being gone. She was hell-bent on bringing her back, so then things could get back to normal again. you know, she wanted to control Tara a bit and forget the fight so things could get back to normal again. She wanted Giles to stay so things could stay normal. She wanted to wipe Xander's memory of when they were having their little thing in season 3, so things could go back to normal. And the one constant she can have in her life, if all else fails, is magic, because she does have control over having magic in her life. That's always going to be there for her, so she can always rely on that, and I think that's kind of how she's spiraled so out of control. If people leave her or break up with her, betray her, she's always going to have magic there. And I've talked in a previous reaction about how I think she sees a lot of her self-worth in her use of magic and her abilities with magic. She thinks she's kind of worthless without it, but it's also the one true constant in her life that she can always control. She can't control if Oz leaves her. She can't control if Tara breaks up with her necessarily, because Tara still found out about the memory wipe. She'll always have control over magic in her life and how she can use it and the power she has over it. So that's a very fascinating aspect of the character that I'm really enjoying them exploring this season. So I am intrigued, also very scared where they're going to go with that, but I liked it nonetheless. And then I guess the last little thing, the trio who came back, the bloody nerds. They're okay. I'm still not sold on them, to be honest. I don't want to lie. The freeze, they did point out, you know, oh, doesn't this sound like just like silly, all these crimes they're committing? And it did. As soon as the freeze ray came out, it's like, that feels a bit out of place for some reason. And, you know, we've had like robots and fishmen and all that, but for some reason the freeze ray, I was like, this just feels like a cheesy 90s movie. But I guess that makes perfect sense, because those boys, probably all they do, I watch those cheesy movies and with the freeze rays and the alien invasions or whatever, and all this weird tech, and they're just recreating that. But I don't know, I'm still just feeling like if they're going to be sticking around for maybe an entire season or beyond, I want more of a motivation than just, hey, should we take over Sunnydale? It's funny as a run-off joke with like the guy in the prom, the guy's brother, but for a season-long villain, maybe not. But maybe I'm alone in that. I'm still feeling that way. They weren't too bad in this episode. I did like the Doctor Who reference. I did appreciate that. And I think it really worked, I think, when Spike went with them. There's a lot of interaction there that I really enjoyed. So maybe if it gets to the point where Buffy finds out about what they're doing and they have like these confrontations with her, I think I'll enjoy it a lot more. Right now, just because no one knows about them, it's just like the three of them all being nerds together, I'm just feeling like, it's okay. But I want more from that, and I feel like them kind of interacting with Buffy, or interacting with Willow, whatever, and interacting with all the main cast and actually having that antagonistic, potentially, relationship with them, I think that would be a lot more interesting for me. I think that's why I've been having the problem with it, you know. While, you know, they didn't find out about the mayor being suspicious until, you know, probably like the final third-ish of season 3, we were still seeing him interact with other characters like Faith or whatever, or even like Joyce in Gingerbread, however briefly. So we're still seeing these villains, or like the big bads, whatever, interacting with like the other main characters, and we haven't really got that with the trio yet until this episode with Spike in particular, that I really enjoyed. And I also like when Jonathan disguised himself as the demon in front of Spike and Buffy. I really enjoyed that aspect of them, because they're interacting with like our main characters. So I think I just need to wait for them to kind of make their presence properly known to the main cast, and then I think I'll enjoy that a lot more. But you know, I think they're still fine. I still enjoy their scenes to an extent. I am already tired of the aren't we nerds jokes, but again, I don't think I will if we get scenes with them and someone else like them and Spike. They have someone to bounce off then. They're not all in like the same mindset, like, we're all nerds, yeah. If we have like the nerds and then we have Spike, who's not a nerd, and is like someone for them to bounce off, a different kind of dynamic to that scenes with them, I think I'll appreciate that a lot more. So hopefully we start getting those soon and I'll enjoy the trio a bit more. But I'm still liking them, and I'm intrigued as to what other weird schemes they're going to come up with. But yeah, I've talked long enough. My camera battery is about to die, so I should probably end it there. Really good episode overall. Very intrigued by all these kind of deeper character motivations going on, and the Spike and Buffy things, and the Willow and Amy things is, and the Tara and Dawn thing is and the trio thing is yeah. So yeah, the idea of like emotional manipulation, destructive relationships, all very interesting stuff, and I can't wait to see where they're going to go with this. And we'll be finding out in my next reaction, because it will be to episode 10 of Buffy. So very excited for that, and until then, thanks for watching.